What's up, Golf Sickos? Final Monday, Dan on Golf, presented by Knockaround of the year. We're going to continue to do streams, but this is going to be our last Monday, directly following a PGA Tour event, and what a finish to the season it was. I'm joined, as always, by my telehealth nurse, Ben Boscovich. I've been very under the weather these last couple days, but it's the last show of the year. It's my flu. It's really not. I don't know why I keep saying it's the last show of the year. It's the last time we're going to be doing this on a Monday because it was the Tour Championship. It was the last season, but we're going to continue to come to you with live content throughout the fall. But what an end to the season it was. Tommy Fleetwood. You know, it reminded me a lot of Rory at the Masters. It was a victory for perseverance, for, as Rory put it, you got to put yourself in position to be heartbroken time and time again. And a few weeks ago, Tommy finished, I want to say fourth or something. And he said, you know, I'm actually a little bit happier with this finish than I would be if I finished second and just barely lost, because you have to put yourself in the arena. And he did it. And I had a few thoughts on this last night while I was watching Tommy on SportsCenter. This win, by the way, it broke through, totally broke through. It was, Tommy was on SportsCenter. We saw LeBron, Caitlin Clark. They were all tweeting about it. Kevin Hart, I saw, was into it. Tommy's a big star. And one of the thoughts I had was, why is Tommy a big star? Well, he's a very normal-looking dude. And by that, I mean he's not 6'3", built like Adonis. And he looks like a crossover between a surfer and Jesus. And that's always going to play well. And the other reason I think that this resonated so much, golf is unique in that guys lose every single week, right? In team sports, one team wins and one team loses. You had a situation here where, like, imagine if a football team had lost 163 games in a row and then they finally win a game. Everyone is going to get behind that football team because they're sort of a lovable loser. Obviously, Tommy Fleetwood is not a loser, but golf lends itself to these storylines once in a while where everyone can get behind the same person. It's a very, very cool part of our sport. In team sports, there's always people who hate the Dallas Cowboys. There's people who hate the Chiefs. I don't think anyone was not rooting for Tommy Fleetwood. It's baked into our sport. A lot of dud weeks, but also weeks like this where you got a guy who loses and loses and loses. And again, lose is a very harsh word in our sport, but it's just a unique dynamic, Ben, where, you know, we don't get this in other sports where a guy has shown up to work 163 times in a row with an objective and has failed to meet that objective and finally meets the objective. It's a very human story, Ben.
I think there's another unique element here in that we're also in the era of rooting for Scottie Scheffler to ruin everyone's dreams because we're witnessing greatness. So I was a little torn between, like, my default is like, of course I want Tommy to get the monkey off his back, but with Scheffler looming, you're like, is this going to be another, like, notch on the greatness belt here?
Yeah, and I do feel that people are starting to root for Scottie in that way. You know, I think it's like, how dominant can he be? And I found myself pretty disappointed when he went yard on the first hole, hit it into the street, which was jarring. He hit it in the water on 15. So Scottie does not win the FedEx Cup. You know, I don't understand why it's called the FedEx Cup and the Tour Championship. Like, Tommy won the Tour Championship. For me, the FedEx Cup was over after the BMW, and Scottie more than doubled up the next guy. But that's a conversation for another time. The crowd was definitely rooting for Tommy. Make no mistake about it. And last week, with Bob McIntyre battling against Scottie in Baltimore, we saw some, like, Ryder Cup undertones. And this oftentimes happens when we get close to the Ryder Cup and you've got one European in the mix and one American in the mix. You start to hear the USA chants. It feels like there's a clear rooting interest. That was not the case. And I think part of that is because of, you know, half surfer, half Jesus. And I think part of it is the guy he was playing with and mostly against, who is an American, Patrick Cantlay. I have to say, from a fan perspective, he's pretty charmless. You know, he doesn't show emotion out there. He plays really slow, doesn't really give you much on the microphone. So I think it was a unique dynamic where an American flag really, or an American crowd, I should say, really embraced Tommy as their own. So Tommy gets it done. Kind of an anticlimactic finish. Reminded me of Tiger in 2018, where he's got this birdie putt and he leaves it short, but goes up, taps it in. That will fade from memory, but what will not fade is that Tommy Fleetwood is a winner, and he is, at least technically speaking, the FedEx Cup champion. And I got to speak to him. Here I am talking with the newest PGA Tour winner. Sounds good to finally be able to say that, Tommy Fleetwood. When Everton started the day with a victory in their new stadium, did you feel like it was written in the stars?
Well, you know, Everton winning and me winning, I'm not sure it's ever happened before. So this was a special day. They played well this morning. I got to watch most of that. Got a lot of my stress out, and then went and play golf. But yeah, what a great day for us.
What was the hardest part of all of this? Of you know, because I was looking back, you know, when you really kind of burst onto the scene, 2018, that round at Shinnecock. It's been 7 years since, and all of these questions have followed you. What's been the hardest part of the wait?
Probably, I think as I've got into contention more, maybe dealing with not just the doubts of yourself, but little bit of expectations of others that, that it might not happen or whatever that is. I don't know. I've never felt like it's been a burden at all. I think anytime I've got into contention, I've always seen it as a great opportunity. I am pleased that I've had the opportunity to show resilience in that way, and show that if you just keep going, keep putting yourself there. Like it's one thing saying it, the other thing is doing it. I don't know what the toughest thing has been, but I've always been very consistent, and I've always taken pride in my consistency. But obviously, I've never had that PGA Tour win that people obviously talked about so much that has eluded me for so long. It was a cool story while it lasted. It was a great crescendo. But yeah, I don't know what the toughest bit was. I think it's always been a great story in a way.
I found myself thinking about Ian Finnis as you took that walk up 18, and Finno is one of my favorite people on the PGA Tour when he's not accusing me of being high on something that rhymes with quack. But for what Ian to go through what he went through last year, and for you to be able to go on this journey with one of your best friends by your side, just like how special is that with him right there?
Yeah, it's very cool. I was just saying then, actually, I would have loved to have been able to try and enjoy it more with him walking up the 18th, but I was in this deep mental cocoon state where I was trying to just get the job done, and I didn't want to get ahead of myself, and there was like the crowd chanting my name and stuff, and I was like, let's just get on the 18th green and let's just finish the job off. But having those moments, I mean, like I say, I'm sure Finno probably had doubts as well. It's another accomplishment for us together as a team. And your career ebbs and flows. We've been together for a long time. We've known each other for such a long time, and this is just another one of those special moments that we get to experience and achieve together. So yeah, that's great that we've had the ups and downs of whatever this year has been and the last few years. But yeah, this was a nice one today.
My final question for you. I don't know if you're aware of this yet, but LeBron James was tweeting about you all day. Caitlin Clark was tweeting about it. Tiger Woods tweeted about it. A lot of times I feel like toward the end of like when it gets close to the Ryder Cup, and we saw this last week with Scotty and with Bob Mack, you start to hear like USA chants and there's like a clear rooting interest. Wasn't the case today. You have been embraced like maybe no other European has by the American crowds. What's it been like having everyone so on your side throughout this?
You make me emotional, Daniel. It's been unbelievably special, and I am very grateful for the story that this has been, and to have had the opportunity to actually show that if you stay resilient, if you keep doing the right things, if you keep telling yourself the right things, if you keep trying, if you keep putting yourself in that position, that it will happen, that it can happen. And I'm really pleased and I'm really proud that I get to be someone that has lived that story and that can tell that story to people like in the future. The support was off the charts today. I've always been very lucky with the connection that I make with people and the support that I've got from the fans, and I never take it for granted. But today was a special day. Walking down those last few holes where you could kind of see where the tournament was going, but you wanted to stay focused and you wanted to make sure you got it done. But definitely that 18th hole was very, very special and something that I'll remember for a very, very long time.
There's only one first PGA Tour win. Make sure you enjoy it, my friend.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
It was interesting after we had an amazing watch along. Shout out to everyone who was on the watch along on Sunday. Someone asked, who is now the best PGA Tour player without a victory? And it's kind of a hard question to answer because the first two natural answers to that question were Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Young, and they've both won in the last month. So I had to look all the way down the list, like the top 30 or something on Data Golf all have PGA Tour wins. The first guy, the highest rated guy I could find who doesn't have a PGA Tour win is Denny McCarthy. So Denny, I guess you're the new Tommy Fleetwood. Might want to grow that hair out. So the guy Tommy beat is Patrick Cantlay, and this was our first time watching Patrick Cantlay in contention this year because it was the first time that Patrick Cantlay was in contention this year. And there was a time when he had sped up his pre-shot routine. the waggles, the looks. It was a big thing in kind of 2020, 2021, 2022, and then I felt like he had made some progress on getting faster over the ball. We've regressed. We have absolutely regressed. And in all this pace of play talk, which we've covered extensively on this show, the tour has always agreed that there are certain players who their pre-shot routine is just too long. It's not an issue of selecting the shot. It's not an issue of course setup. It's just when they're over the ball, they take too fucking long. And that's Cantlay. And I timed it on the 16th hole, which is a dead straight tee shot, par 4. It was his sixth time hitting that tee shot this week if you include the practice rounds. He took 55 seconds from picking the driver up out of his bag to hitting the ball. It's really long. It's too long. It's at least too long on PGA Tour Americas. So the PGA Tour unveiled this new pace of play policy on the PGA Tour Americas, and it says, under the revised pace of play policy, a player is permitted 40 seconds to play a stroke, and an extra 10 seconds for a total of 50 seconds will be allowed if they're the first player to play a stroke on a par 3 hole, so not the case on 16. The first player to play a second stroke on a par 4 or par 5 hole, not the case on 16. The first player to play a third stroke on a par 5, not the case. The first player to play around the putting green, not the case. The first player to play on the putting green. So they had already had a speed warning. They were a hole and a half, 2 holes behind the whole day. And then he takes 55 seconds to hit a tee shot once he's already over the ball. That's not including the selection. It's not the courses they play are so hard or there's so. It's just his routine is way too long. And I get it, Ben. It's the last group of the year. They're playing for all that money. But the problem with these rules is that if you don't enforce them during the season, you're definitely not going to enforce them at the end.
I think the reason I'm optimistic about this is that we got fresh blood in the executive suite, right? So a lot of changes are coming probably in the next couple of years to rules and regulations and all that stuff. And I can't imagine this isn't like pretty high up on the list of.
Yeah, like if you're Brian Rolapp and you're watching that broadcast and you hear Dan Hicks, like Dan Hicks was throwing jabs the entire day at Cantlay at how long he was taking. Rolapp's probably like, this is bad television. This is just bad television. You know what I mean? Watching a guy waggle and look and waggle and look and there's a shot clock in the NFL, there's a play clock, and in certain situations it's lower, right? Like if you're coming out of a timeout, it's 30 seconds versus 60 seconds or whatever. For your first tee shot on a par 4 that you've been hitting all week, to take 55 seconds, to take 30 seconds once you're actually already addressing the ball, it's just bad television.
I think the broadcast also gets a lot of flack for the way they move the cameras around and the shots around. Like, it's kind of hard to do that when the guy you've chosen to put the camera on is taking a minute to get started.
Well, there weren't that many things to cut around it with, right? Like at the end, right, because they were so far behind those last 2 holes, all they could do was show Cantlay and Fleetwood, and it was just bad television. It's not any deeper than that, but it was a big topic of conversation, so I felt like we had to address it. Okay, we're going to move into the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround. They're the presenting sponsor of the show. I had a great dinner with the Knockaround folks in Eastlake. These are the best sunglasses. These are the love and hates. I think this is the smoke color. Stop spending stupid money on sunglasses. It's just not that complicated. You don't need to sacrifice quality. These are proof. These things feel like they're $300. They're actually closer to $30, and they might get even cheaper. We have a promo code. If you go to knockaround.com/golf, you can look at all of the golf sunglasses they have. You can also peruse the website. You don't have to wear just golf sunglasses on the golf course. But if you go to knockaround.com and use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your first order. Brings these sunglasses, I think, under $30. They're knockarounds. You want to be able to knock them around, throw them in your bag. You shouldn't be treating your sunglasses like they're a piece of jewelry, okay? All right, we're going to start with the Live Team Championship in Michigan. Actually, a pretty cool format. I call it like I see it with Live. Their whole thing was team golf, team golf, team golf. This is the only week where it's like team golf front and center. There's no individual competition, and it was cool. You had a match play format, and then in the end, they played 1 round of stroke play. There was eventually a playoff between John Rahm's Legion 13 and Bryson DeChambeau's Crushers, which John Rahm's team won. So Rahm wins the individual crown, despite winning 0 times and Joaquin Niemann winning 5. He also wins the team crown with Legion 13. But now the big question with Live is, who do they sign? Right? They have their 54 players for their season. They don't really do acquisitions like mid-season. Maybe if a guy graduates college like Ballester or leaves college. But the question is now is, do they sign any top guys from the PGA Tour? Last year in the offseason, it didn't happen. Their biggest signing was Tom McKibben. Now, is that because they're not handing out the same contracts that they were? Is it because there's this looming merger negotiation with the PGA Tour, even though it seems on ice, I think, fair to say, with Brian Rolapp coming in, said he hasn't even spoken to anyone from the PIF. All eyes are on what Liv does now because they need to continue to build momentum. It looked like some pretty good crowds the last couple of weeks in the Midwest. They were in Chicago, Indianapolis, and Michigan, maybe an underserved market. But this is not a traveling circus. Like they need to have TV ratings. They need to have overall awareness. And, you know, they've succeeded in signing a lot of the best players, but it hasn't really cracked the code 4 years in. So very interested to see what happens, especially with the background of the PGA Tour having serious momentum. I don't know. I don't think the ratings are out, but they're going to be big. They're going to be really big for the Tour Championship. The ratings were good all year. You've got Scotty, who's elevated to this, you know, large figure in sports. Brian Rolap, the new PGA Tour CEO, is a savage. Everyone seems to really respect this guy. So very interested to see Liv's offseason. Rory McIlroy. This might be a record. 3 hours after finishing up at East Lake to his seat at the U.S. Open tennis in New York. And I noticed this. The Atlanta airport, actually not that far from East Lake, and then you fly straight to JFK. You're already in Queens. It's just right over there. That looks like a man who's just crushed that he didn't win the FedEx Cup. You know, he looks so upset that he skipped Memphis. Just broken that he didn't finish the year. But this is Rory, right? And I had a conversation with Rory this week where he said, "I'm not Scotty. Like some guys are able to do it every week. I go through ebbs and flows." I don't want to say that Rory was going through the motions in the FedEx Cup finale, but I don't think that he was as motivated as he will be for other golf tournaments, including one that starts in 32 days. I'll tell you a secret. With Memphis next year, I'm not sure Rory plays Memphis next year. I think he's enjoying his life, and I think he is more than entitled to do it. The British Masters over on the DP World Tour was won by Alex Noren, who had some injury issues earlier this year, kept him out until May. So a nice bounce-back victory for Alex Noren. Alex Noren also doesn't have a PGA Tour victory. So now that I'm thinking about it, he might be one of the more accomplished players with that one. A couple other notable finishes from the British Masters. Matt Fitzpatrick, who I gather was, shall we say, strongly encouraged to play this week. He finished tied for 6th, so I think that's just what Luke Donald wanted to see. Fitzpatrick's up to number 12 in data golf rankings. I think he's going to make the team. Rasmus Højgaard finished tied for 13th, which was enough to leapfrog Shane Lowry and get the 6th and final auto-qualifying spot on the European team. So the European auto qualifiers are Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, Tyrrell Hatton, Bob McIntyre, and Rasmus Højgaard. And I think their 6 captains picks will be John Rahm, Ludwig Åberg, Shane Lowry, Victor Hovland, Sepp Straka, and Matt Fitzpatrick. I think it's going to be those 12. It would be 11 of the 12 from Italy with just one twin brother swapped out for another. I mean, I guess you could go with Marco Penge or Harry Hall over Fitz, but I just don't see it. So I think it's going to be 11 of the same 12 and a twin brother switched out. So if they wanted, they really could just turn up with the same team and no one would notice. You know what I mean? If they just ran it back. My question about do they revive the group chat and just tell Nikolai to switch phones with Rasmus for the rest of the month?
Why not let them both in there? You know, just get an extra guy in the group chat. You know, second opinion on whichever Højgaard, you know, has a take on something.
I think this is exactly how Luke Donald wanted it to go. I mean, they bring the captain back. Why would they not? You know, if you told him that 11 of the 12 players that were on your team 2 years ago are going to be playing well enough to be back, you would say, let's run it back. You know, the vibes are already there.
It's also a good sign. I think it's a good sign for the team that the same guys played just as well over the course of the last 2 years, showed right back up. It's another not great thing for us as the American fans.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Look, there is a pretty steep drop. There's a much bigger drop off between sort of their 12th best player and their 20th best player than our 12th. But there's only 12 players that play in the Ryder Cup. Okay, CPKC Women's Open, the Canadian Women's Open, was won by Brooke Henderson on home soil. A very, very cool victory. We love when a Canadian wins their national Open. We've actually immortalized it here. Oh no, it broke again. I'm gonna fix it live on air. This is great television. We have got a bobblehead in my hand of Nick Taylor tossing his putter after winning the logo. Nick Taylor, it's still broken. I'll fix it later. The Ally Challenge over on the Champions Tour was won by a leaky faucet on my Stewie sink. Good win there for Mr. Stuart Sink. And then this dropped this morning. Another team event with Rory and Scotty in December. I think it's going to be Versant, which is the new spin-off network with, obviously there's been a lot of movement with NBC and Golf Channel. Golf Channel now part of this Versant. Sounds like they're going to be leading the event. 4 players on each team with no live players. Remember last year it was all about the showdown was PGA Tour versus live. I don't think it's a great sign for live if they're going to be left out of this thing. Maybe that's just me reading into it. All right. I've got a Ryder Cup plea, and I'm going to talk direct to the camera for this. So let's cue the music. Keegan Bradley, You have a choice on your hands, a weighty one.
Well, it's difficult because
to be the first Ryder Cup playing captain in 62 years, the first since the King, Arnold Palmer, or to lay down your arms. And this choice is weighing on you, and we can all see that. Let's roll the clip.
Well, it's difficult because I want to put the team in the best position to win the Ryder Cup. And so there's sort of an unknown I mean, Arnold Palmer did it in 1963, but it's a totally different tournament now. So it's just a heavy decision. All the picks are tough. Like, your captain's going to be judged on who they pick. And pretty strange thing to pick yourself. So it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And I just want to make sure we make the right one.
I'm here to say, Keegan, you simply have to play. Let's start with some background. The U.S. has won 3 of the last 11 Ryder Cups. It's not like our formula has exactly been working. And the whole reason they picked you to be the captain was for something new, for some new energy. You even said recently that when they told you you were going to be the captain, they wanted you to be the first playing captain since Arnold Palmer. And the hardest part of this whole ordeal of being the captain is the run-up. So many logistics, figuring out the outfits and the food and the schedules. You've had to juggle all that, and I thought your game would fall off a cliff. I really did. It's gone the other way. You're playing maybe the best golf of your life. You're 11th in the world rankings. You thrive in the chaos. The other guys want you there. They want the juice of a playing captain, and the heavens seem to want you to play. When you made this putt to win the Travelers, a freaking eagle goes off during the putt. Let's watch this.
And win it with one putt.
A Keegan comeback, not to be believed.
Then this week, some other weird shit happened. Even you said it feels like someone is on your side after watching this putt.
You're not going to believe when you see this. This is the most unbelievable thing I've seen. Watch this. This goes in.
Wait, what?
Can you believe that?
Did you have a string on it?
And then there's Rory. Rory doesn't think you can do it. He was essentially calling you out.
Is being a Ryder Cup playing captain something that you aspire to? Is that something?
No, I've been asked to do that and I've turned it down.
You've already been asked to be the captain?
No, the idea of me being a playing captain sometime soon coming up has come up, and I've shot it down straight away.
Yeah, why?
Because I don't think you can do it.
You can do it. Here's the dirty little secret about being a Ryder Cup captain. You can't hit a shot. Not a single one. The only thing the captain can do if you're not a playing captain the week of the tournament is pick the pairings and talk to the players during the round. One, you can still pick the pairings. You're going to have potential pairings laid out. You have vice captains who are very capable, a whole squad of data guys, and you can delegate someone else to talk to the guys while you play. That's no problem. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you have. We are Americans. We don't back down from a challenge. The choice is clear. Keegan, when you head to Bethpage in a month, you better bring your motherfucking sticks with you. How about that? You cut the music now. That was my plea. Keegan, you simply have to do it. Ben, was that too much?
No, I was losing my mind over here. I don't know how he doesn't do it after that.
You know what I mean?
Incredible.
But it's true. It's a once in a lifetime thing. And what he said was, if we win, it's a great decision. If we lose, it's a bad decision. And that's what it is with Ryder Cup captains. You can be a great captain, and if your team doesn't make putts, you're going to lose. And you can be a terrible Ryder Cup captain, and your players don't like you, and if they start flagging iron shots, you're going to win. It's not. This isn't football where you can call plays or make substitutions in basketball in the middle. Like, there is I said most of the hard work I really do believe is in the run-up, and he's done all of that work, and he's juggled it, and it's brought out something. He clearly thrives in this type of chaotic environment.
Listen, I've been faced with the same decision in my life too. When we were starting the Dan on Golf show, it was, am I going to be the captain or am I going to be the playing captain? And I chose playing captain, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So if there's anything there, Keegan, follow the trend.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, we're going to move into Bushmills, charting your own course. Last week I was in Atlanta covering the Tour Championship. While I was there, I also got to cover the on-course action at the Creator Classic, which was won by Brad Dahlke. And this made me think we should do another segment of charting your own course, brought to you by our friends at Bushmills Irish Whiskey. It's the world's most awarded Irish single malt. Their whiskey has been recognized by experts around the world. I say it all the time. I get to do what I love and talk about golf. I get to share my stories from tour events, interviews, interactions with the fans and players just like I experienced last week on my trip to East Lake. So I have made promises to you on this show, many promises. One of the promises I have made is that I will never, ever say this a moment ago. And it almost happened. It almost happened at the Creator Classic. I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret. There were a lot of moments where I was narrating shots that maybe weren't live. And maybe there was a producer in my ear saying this a moment ago. And you know what? I didn't say it. And we're still here. We're still here. This a moment ago is a lie. Everything is a lie. Not every golf shot you see is live. When they say a moment ago, doesn't make any sort of difference at all. There's no oath that you take to tell the truth to the viewer. It's entertainment product. You don't have to say this a moment ago. And I didn't say it, Ben, and I'm very proud of myself for not saying it.
I'm proud of you for not only committing to this state of mind and take, but also like bringing it into, getting our partners involved, having them support us too. I think it's important.
It's very important. It's a very important thing. It's a very important thing in world golf. This a moment ago is a malignant tumor that has grown on our sport for far too long. And we're making golf healthy again by getting rid of this a moment ago. A big thanks to Bushmills Irish Whiskey for making the Charting Your Own course. We actually shot some really cool content with Bushmills this week in Atlanta that you guys will see very soon with the Bob Does Sports guys. A big thanks again to Bushmills Irish Whiskey for making the Charting Your Own course experience possible. Bushmills, it's made in Ireland at the first licensed whiskey distillery in the world. Cheers from all of us and from Bushmills Irish Whiskey. I'm excited for this one. We are going to bring on the handicap police officer, a man who goes by the moniker Yip Strickler. Now, we've talked on this show a lot. Yeah, there he is. He's the handicap police. If you're a sandbagger, you don't want to hear that noise in your background. Now, we've talked on the show, Yip, about vanity handicaps, and I went to Ireland, and they don't do gimmies over there. So I think that a 3 handicap in the UK is a lot better than a 3 handicap in America. But we are here to talk about the other end of the handicap spectrum, about sandbaggers, sandbagging rats, as you call them. Why did you start doing this?
Well, it seems I have a tendency every time I play golf to bring out the best in my opponents. For example, there's a member of my prestigious private golfing club, Cal McPauslin. I've played with him 3 times this year, career low, all 3 times. It's just amazing, and I'm sick of it.
I can tell that you're sick of it. So if you guys have seen Yip on Instagram, he exposes sandbaggers. The Barstool Classic seems to be very fertile ground for you. You've got an award that I gather called the Sandbagging Rat of the Year. I want you to run me through some nominees.
Yeah, so speaking of Tommy, I was at the Tommy Fleetwood. I was at my prestigious private golfing club's pool bar yesterday, and Nellie Zellstrom, one of my buddies, says, "Have you ever met a Tommy that you didn't like?" Well, I said, as a matter of fact, there's one that's a current front runner for the 2025
As a matter of fact, I have.
Potential Sandbagging Rat of the Year, Tommy Paget. He first came on my radar back on March 17th of this year, where he and his partner, Ryan Smith, qualified for a Barstool Classic. Fun fact, his partner, Ryan Smith, shot a 76 this year at the Charlotte City AM qualifier. Dan, do you think he posted that 67?
I'm thinking maybe he didn't post it.
He didn't post that 67. No, not even close. And the fun thing about this is after I expose some, potential sandbagging rats, when I get the real good ones, the messages just start flowing in. Okay. And that's what happened with Tommy Paget. It sounds like, according to multiple anonymous sources, he has been terrorizing the Charlotte, North Carolina golfers for decades. For example, let's see, he did shoot 74 at that Barstool Classic qualifier this year. He played in a Gator Invitational, another 74. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Here, I see the producers are following along for me here. You see Tommy Boy there at the Barstool Classic. If we can. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm a little ahead of schedule. I didn't know if I was on time constraints here, so I'm flying through this. Here he is on the Gator Invitational. Hopefully a little bag tour victory photograph comes up next. That would be beautiful. I love to see Tommy holding big checks. It warms my heart. And also there was a big Calcutta in Destin that apparently Tommy Paget had some type of a secret name for. He did shoot 65-70 at this event. And for those that are wondering, here we go. You can see he showed up at $360,000 Calcutta in Destin under the nickname cheap ass mother, watch your mouth, shot 65-70. And you better believe he only has 2 scores posted all year. He is a 3.6 handicap. And according to multiple sources, he is significantly better than
well, I mean, what are the odds of a 3.6 handicap shooting 65?
Well, I didn't get the course and slope rating information. They kind of just left me out hanging out to dry, so I couldn't exactly figure out the odds on that. But for Tommy, I'd say the odds are pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Who's our next nominee?
All right, next nominee. We're coming to my home state. We have a Matt Rempe. Now, Matt is currently a 5.0 handicap index, just up slightly from the 4.9 when I first reported on him back in early June. Before his member guest this year, he had some very interesting postings. Okay, now I don't know what the odds are of this happening.
A bunch of 80s.
He posted 6 straight 80s right before the member at Monroe Golf and Country Club. It's remarkable. He has won the member in 2021, 2023, and 2025. Here are some other photographs of him at various member guests where he's known to be a flight winner. And this right here, if we notice this newspaper article, Matt Rempe last June played 126 holes in one day. That's right. 7 rounds of golf in one day. Listen to these scores: 73, 76, 75, 76, 77, 74, and 76. The utmost consistency of a 5.0 handicap index. You will see in the newspaper article, he said he was carrying a 3 handicap at that time. Maybe he's just really struggling. Maybe he's a 5 because of all those 80s he posted earlier in the year. And yes, those 80s are still on his record, as he's only posted like 2 scores in July and 3 in August.
Okay, so 2 very, very strong nominees. Bring us home with our third.
Well, this guy's kind of, he necessarily wasn't on my radar for this, but same situation. I reported on Eric Wilcoxon just a few weeks ago, where you could see he's a 3.7 soft cap. He only has 3 scores posted so far in 2025, and he has been on a bona fide heater. Okay, Lubbock, Texas. According to anonymous sources, they have 3 majors. Okay, they have the Swinger at Hillcrest Country Club, the Stampede at Lake Ridge, and the Parbuster at Lubbock Country Club.
3 for 3.
And he's 3 for 3. He has won his flight in every single event. And this one just came across my desk late last night.
54.
I received he's just this. Well, so he didn't post. So what he does, every tournament he's in, one of these best ball events, him and his partner put the same exact score. They just put their best ball score up, or they just leave blank. So when they're done with the round, we don't know what we shot. We can't post this. One other thing that came across my desk about Eric Wilcoxon late last night, according to his wife's social media postings, he won a member guest at Steamboat Springs, Colorado as well, like a week ago. This guy is hot.
He's the Scotty Scheffler of member guests. Yep. My question for you before I let you go here, this has been an electric segment. These guys ever contact you and are like, hey, you're defaming me? What do they say?
Well, I mean, first off, you kind of have to be lying about the person to defame them. I will say, like Tommy Paget, for example, his lady friend got into the comments calling me a broke journalist real quick after I exposed him. We've had a little back and forth session because she had a nice little photograph on her Facebook page with her and Tommy in it that I clearly used to my advantage. Oh, and you better believe she changed her profile pic the next day.
Unbelievable. And I guess I have one more question. You have a real life. Your name, I don't think, is Yip Strickler. Has anyone from your real life put the 2 and 2 together?
Oh, I mean, yeah, everybody. I'm pretty sure if you Google me now, the real name will be out there. I have had a couple potential sandbagging rats that I have exposed, like put my real name in the comments, like I'm going to go run for my life. I mean, I didn't get into this because I'm, nervous about any of this. I care about net golf, the backbone of the entire golf industry, and nothing's going to stop it.
You are, you're a legend and a scholar. Yep. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see who wins. We're gonna have to follow Yip Strickler to figure out who wins. We're gonna move into our 2025 season takeaways. I'd like to thank Fujikura for presenting our 2025 season takeaway segment. Here's some pretty impressive takeaways about Fujikura and this season on the PGA Tour. All 4 majors were won by players using Fujikura Ventus Black in their driver. JJ Spawn won the U.S. Open with the new Ventus with Velo Core Plus. Rory won the players using Ventus Black, and the world number 1 Scotty Scheffler also uses the Ventus Black. This shaft is everywhere on tour. The tour champion Tommy Fleetwood just won using the Ventus Blue Velo Core. In 2025 events, Fujikura was the number 1 driver shaft and was used in 39% of all drivers. So nearly half of all drivers have a Fujikura shaft. 60% of events have been won with Fujikura shafts in drivers. It helps when you have Scotty on your team. 5 out of 10 on the OWGR top 10 use Ventus in their drivers. Fujikura isn't just on the PGA Tour. At the U.S. Amateur, Fujikura was the number 1 driver, wood, and hybrid shaft. The champion, Mason Howell, trusted Fujikura and won with the 2024 Ventus Blue shaft in his Ping 440 driver. 7 out of 8 U.S. Amateur quarterfinalists used Fujikura shafts in their driver. At the U.S. Women's Amateur, Fujikura was the number 1 driver shaft with 34.6% of the field. It's clearly the number 1 shaft on the big tours and in the amateur game. So I'm going to let Ben start with his 2025 season takeaways. Go ahead, Ben.
Thank you, Dan. I'm going to start with something very on brand for myself, which is to pick somebody that doesn't get a ton of attention and give them some flowers. I want to give some flowers to Mr. Russell Henley for my first 2025 season takeaway. This is a guy that is never not a lock for the Ryder Cup spot on the U.S. team. Picked up a big win in a red cardigan in Arnie's place this year. Top 10 in half of his appearances. So 1 out of 2 times, this guy's going to be in the top 10. T10 at U.S. Open, T10 at the Open. He's always going to fly under the radar, but just like his Apex, if you've seen his numbers.
Yes.
So let's bring him up. Let's give him some flowers for the art of consistency. Mr. Russell Henley, I cannot wait to see you in Bethpage.
Yeah, this is going to be one of my bonus ones for the end, but I'm gonna answer yours with a bonus one and then go into my first one. It reminded me of Brian Campbell. I mean, the fact that Brian Campbell won 2 times on the PGA Tour this year with 161 mile per hour ball speed is a Herculean effort. Think about how good that guy has to be at everything besides hitting the ball far to win twice on the PGA Tour in 1 year. Yeah, Russell Henley's he's holding it down for the sub 170 ball speed, for the sub 100 apex. He's like in the 70s and the 80s. Definitely a unique player among the world's elites, and kind of heartening to know that it's still possible. So my first one, truly an all-time great major year. It feels so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago that Rory McIlroy completed the career Grand Slam. It actually happened. Then we get Scotty Scheffler finally getting that 3rd major. He gets his 4th, so he elevates himself, had this incredible 2024 and finds a way to actually improve on it. Now, 3 out of the 4 major wins this year were legacy wins, right? Rory gets the career Grand Slam, he gets the 5th major. Scotty is moving up the all-time ranks, but it's nice that not all of them were legacy wins. We had JJ Spawn, a true out-of-nowhere U.S. Open winner, having a career breakthrough in his mid-30s, played the Open for the first time this year. Like, it was nice that not after that one, after the Masters and after Scotty's wins, we talk about where do they rank all time. No one was asking, how many majors is JJ Spawn going to win in his career, and where does JJ Spawn? It was just a really cool moment and a fantastic year in the majors. All right, you're number 2.
Number 2, it could be a legacy win for JJ. We'll see. I guess we'll see how the rest of his career shakes out here. But I think this is the year that Bobby Mack became a killer.
Yep.
Now
there he is. He loves the takeaway.
Obviously Bobby Mack is a phenomenal golfer, like best guys to swing the club in the entire planet. But I think the attitude came out this year. We're going to see it at Bethpage, obviously. We saw it in some pressers. We certainly saw it with some fan interactions at the BMW. I think this is the year he reminded us that he's a dog. And I smell a major next year for him. Would be my guess.
He was close. With JJ Spawn had a 2-putt from 64 feet to beat him. He ends up making the putt, but Bobby Mack was there in some absolutely massive events. My second one, Looper Island, was crazy this year. So much caddy movement. JT and Max Homa and Colin Morikawa and Tony Finau, and everyone was looking for new caddies this year, and they kept on showing up on each other's bags. So that was kind of one half of my takeaway. The second half of it is, how much does it really matter? I mean, we saw so many guys win this year with a fill-in caddy or a new caddy on the bag in their first week. I mean, Neiman did it over on Live. Kitayama did it. Justin Thomas did it. Scotty won.
Did Scotty win without Ted?
Scotty won without Ted Scott for the first time. Ted Scott comes back. He doesn't win. There's so much movement, and they're all looking for the right fit. But it's hard to ignore this trend of guys winning with first-time caddies on the bag. All right, your next one.
I was gonna say, do you think that we're gonna go into the era of guys just using the club caddy that's provided to them?
I don't know. I think it's all about, like, do you like the guy and do you like spending time with him? Because I think, these guys are so good, and look, you can't just take some random person off the street and throw them in a PGA Tour event to caddy. There is a level of proficiency that you need, but once you clear that level of proficiency, it's all about fit. So maybe one guy really wants his buddy out there, which is, Rory and Harry Diamond. And Harry's a great caddy, but Rory likes his personality and likes that he's quiet and likes that he's out of the media. Another guy might want a super experienced guy out there because it just makes him feel like he's checking all the boxes. It's all about fit.
Yeah, you're hanging out with this guy 7 days a week, not just 4.
You see them more than your wife. That's what all the tour players say.
My next takeaway is that either the future is very bright or I just finally started paying attention.
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
A little bit of both, and I'd have you to thank for that, Dan, because of how into the college golf and amateur golf scene you've gotten me. But guys like Jackson Koivin and Michael Lasasso and even our friend Neil Shipley got me really stoked about the future of the game. These guys play big. Their personalities aren't necessarily there to where they're like, giving us Bryson moments, but I do think that they'll emerge as they get older and just, they're going to change the sport in ways we don't even know just because of the generation that they come from. They're the most online suite of professional golfers we'll have ever seen. And I'm excited to see what their impact is on where the game goes forward just because of that element alone.
Yeah, not even mentioning, a Blades Brown or a Miles Russell or a Mason Howell. It does feel like the kids are only getting stronger. My next one, this was the year I became a tree hugger. I had that takeaway watching the U.S. Open at Oakmont. I had that takeaway watching the Tour Championship at East Lake. I understand this trend in worldwide golf courses to get rid of the trees. It's how they looked initially. There's less shade when you get rid of the trees, so it's easier to grow grass. It opens up the vistas. It's great for country club play, but for challenging the best players in the world, trees absolutely have a utility. They make tee shots difficult. I was watching it at East Lake, and these guys were just mashing driver on every hole without really having to worry, because if it's in the rough, and there's no trees there, they don't have to worry about anything really. And I think there's a middle ground here. I think they could have gotten rid of all the trees that we're looking at here, except for a couple, and they would still be, it'd still serve the purpose of opening up the vistas and making the conditions better. But it almost feels like these architects go in there, and it's almost like a bit, and not even a bit, it's like, we're going to take them all out. Like, we're going to take them all out. It becomes sort of like a hill to die on. And I just think it's a big decision, and it's sort of an irreversible one. Those trees spent like 100 years growing, and then you just chop them all down. I'm just not a fan of it.
Let's at least think a little longer before we make a forever decision like that for a tree, right?
I completely
like
agree.
Punch outs too. Recovery shots are some of the most fun to watch in the game, so more of those. My last takeaway, and I might be a little premature on this, but I really do think if pro golf doesn't fully have its groove back, it's well on its way to getting its groove back.
Yeah.
I think we're in a transition period between us. All we can talk about is that there are 2 tours and which one is doing what. We can thank Scotty Scheffler. We can thank Hollywood. We can thank the creators. We can thank our new Lord and Savior, Brian Rolap. There's plenty of other happenings that are happening in golf right now to distract us from that 2-tour conversation. And I think that's brought professional golf back to a better place. The majors haven't suffered. We're all chill about it. We don't really care anymore what happens. We just want something to happen. And I think that's a good place to be. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the cultural breakthrough continues to reach new frontiers. I mean, we got Mahomes, LeBron. LeBron's like obsessed with golf now. Caitlin Clark was tweeting about Tommy Fleetwood. I saw Kevin Hart posted something earlier today that he's going to pick up golf. My last one, I missed Tiger Woods. I missed him this year. He was totally absent the whole year. The only time I think he was at a PGA Tour event was when Rolap was named the commissioner, and he was on site at the Travelers for like a day. But obviously had Achilles surgery, which was going to be really, really difficult for him to come back from. His pinky looks insane in that photo, by the way. What is going on with his pinky in that photo? I know his pinky is like been a bit deformed from all the golf balls that he's hit, but I wonder if that's like a shadow or something, because it looks like he doesn't even have a pinky. But yeah, I missed Tiger this year. I missed him this year. He turns 50 in December. That's really sneaking up on us. He's about to be eligible for the Champions Tour really, really soon. I hope we see Tiger more in some capacity next year. I don't know if it's going to be playing the PGA Tour, playing the majors. I don't know if it's going to be playing on the Senior Tour. But, for golf to have this incredible year without Tiger at all, I think says a lot about the long-term
robust future of our sport. And I have just one more. It's a disappointing year for some of the blue chips who we thought would be on the Ryder Cup team. Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau, saw at the Gala Wyndham Clark. Just a reminder that golf is not linear. We expect that, a guy like a Ben Griffin has an incredible year this year. Doesn't mean it's going to happen next year. Doesn't mean, and Xander Schauffele missed the Tour Championship, which was unthinkable last year. The guy won 2 majors. So it just makes you appreciate even more these guys who are there pretty much every single year. Yeah, it's amazing.
Russell Henley.
We have a bonus interview. We talked about amateur golf. We got the fridge on our show. We got Jackson Herrington, the runner-up from the U.S. Amateur, is joining us live on the line. Jackson.
How we doing, guys?
You are super live. Where are you right now?
I'm out playing with the Cherokee members out here. We got all the guys out here. We're having a little golf day, so out here on the course, having a good time with these guys and seeing if I can help with the shamble we're playing today. So,
I absolutely love when someone takes a call live from the golf course. So I was watching the coverage of the USAM, and it almost seemed like your goal for the week was to make the final. Like, was it kind of Masters or bust for you?
Yeah, at the beginning of the week, I sent Coach Webb a text. I told him I'm going to do everything I can to get to the Masters, and I did that. So I felt like once I made it to that final match, and after I made that 5-foot slider to win the semifinal match, I gave my mom a hug. I said I did it. So that was really big for me. That was the main goal. Obviously, winning would have been nice, but I've told everybody if there was one day I wanted to play bad, it was in that finals match, because I had already, accomplished my goals other than winning the tournament. And, winning the tournament would have been a really nice treat, but going to Augusta and, Shinnecock next year is going to be amazing as well. So,
what is the origin of the fridge nickname?
So what I've heard is Bryce Lewis, who was here 2 years ago, they were eating like fridge toast sticks or something. This might have been something else, but they were eating fridge toast sticks or whatever, and they were really good apparently. And he said, "You're gonna have to keep these away from the fridge." And it stuck. And then I was out at one of the amateur events that summer before I came in, and they like third hole. I'm playing with Evan Woosley Reed, Lance, and I think Bruce Murphy, and we're out there. They kept saying it. I'm like, "What are y'all talking about?" And they were like, "That's you. Like, that's your new nickname." I was like, "All right, I like it." So it's stuck.
Well, it's got a lot of NIL potential. I'll tell you that much. There's a lot of fridge companies out there. I wanted to ask you, if I opened your fridge at home, what is one thing that I will always find?
A couple things you'll always find. It's always big steak guy. You're gonna find something like that in there, and then I don't know, man. A lot of straw.
You're only 19, guy, right? So let's be careful about what we say here. Yeah,
I know. I don't got any of that in my fridge. I keep it clean, but it's like a lot of fruit, a lot of steak. I enjoy that. Farm fresh eggs from our farm. My mom just brought those in this week, so yeah, that's pretty much the consistent thing for me in my fridge.
Steak and eggs, I love it. Now, you mentioned your semifinal match. You were playing against Niall Shields Donegan, who had crazy support. Like, he was a Mill Valley kid. Did you almost kind of like relish that opportunity to ruin those people's day?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. Webb texted me and said, "Go in another Cinderella story." And I saw that, and, I really wanted to do that. And, fortunately I did, but I kind of used the crowd as fuel. I've told people that, but, I knew that was going to be really tough. Fortunately, I played Billy Abdo the round before that, and he had a crowd as well. So, I got used to that the round before Niall, and then I felt like I used the crowd being quiet when I did something good as fuel. So that was really nice. And I feel like some people might not have done that against him. And, I felt like hearing that crowd be quiet and hearing the people that were for me cheer when I won a hole was really big for me. And it was, it kind of fueled me. So it was awesome.
How's the facility down there at Tennessee? I do this golf, I do this show where I go and check out the top college programs. I might have to go down to Rocky Top.
Gee, this place is unbelievable. It's awesome. We got a 3-hole loop on the course. We always go out and play with the boys, and workout facility right there on the water. So this morning we were at 6 a.m. We get out there and sunset or sunrise. Sorry, what am I talking about? But sunrise out there, and I mean, it's beautiful. You're right on the water. And I think that's a great way to start our day. I really enjoy that part about it. And, great clubhouse, great coaches, great group of guys. And I feel like we're going to be really good this year. So I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, my last question for you. You're playing in the Masters. Is that difficult to make that weight? Do you have plans for maybe trying to go up there before the tournament? How are you going to kill the time between now and April?
I really don't think it's fully sunk in yet. Scott Stallings was nice enough to get me, a hat and things, and gave me those, and that was pretty awesome. But we were still so far away, and I got so much ahead of me, and trying to stay focused on college right now, to playing well, leading up to the Masters, and I'm fortunate to have guys like Coach Webb and Derek, our new assistant, and even our second assistant, that are helping me get ready for that. So I feel like preparing for that is really going to help me with these college events and play well there. But yeah, it hasn't really fully sunk it in yet. So I think it will later on down the road. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, the new assistant you're talking about, Derek Ernst, who people will remember won at Quail Hollow. You've got an assistant coach who has played in the Masters, which is a very, very unique thing that you can lean on for support. Thank you so much for joining us, Jackson. Go back to your shamble, young man.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Good stuff. Nice little bonus interview for all of you sickos at home. All right. Give me a winner. We're going to have Rick back on the show. Rick is currently in transit somewhere, but he pre-recorded a way too early look at the Ryder Cup, because as you can see behind me, that is where our attention is turning to. Here is Rick Gehman.
All right, fellas, it was good seeing you in Atlanta, but it is time to look ahead to Bethpage, which is much too far away to discuss the realistic betting options. We don't even know who's on the team yet, but there are a couple of things that I want to point out. First and foremost, we expect Bethpage Black to be difficult, set up very long, high rough, all the things that in theory should favor Americans historically, but over the last decade or so, the Europeans have done a really good job at combating with guys like Jon Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Åberg, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, the Americans are favored to win the Ryder Cup. They're minus 145. The European side is plus 150. So what I've started to do is some initial modeling around the 6 automatic qualifiers for each of these teams. Again, we don't know what the other spots are going to produce, but as of right now, the composite United States team gains about a stroke and a half, 1.49 strokes per round as a 6-pack. The European side is nearly a half a shot worse, 1.09. If we use those baselines in a Ryder Cup format and start modeling out simulations, it gives the edge, the winning side of about 60% to the Americans. So all good there for the United States. However, when you start playing with the puzzle pieces here and you start looking at the way these teams can get better, maybe the mistakes some of the captains can make, I think there's going to be a little bit of an edge towards the European side as some of these guys get solidified. So, for example, Viktor Hovland, Ludwig Åberg, they are not automatic qualifiers. They are obviously on this European team. That is going to increase their baseline there from 1.09 to a higher number because both those guys are better than that average. Then you get Sepp Straka, Shane Lowry. I think we're probably going to get Matt Fitzpatrick, and I think we're going to round it out with Nico Højgaard is probably going to be the final. So we're going to have a pair of Højgaard brothers who are likely to play together as often as possible. You get the additions of Ludwig and Viktor Hovland. They are going to up the baseline. And really, the additions for the Americans are not as additive, if that makes sense, right? The best players are the qualified players. And there's a lot of different ways that Captain Keegan Bradley could go, presumably picking himself. But then what? Is it going to be JT, Colin, Ben Griffin? That would be okay, but it would actually decrease their baseline a little bit because of some of the struggles that Colin Morikawa has had of late. And Justin Thomas hasn't played particularly well after his win at the RBC Heritage earlier this year. Do you get a bump from Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and or Sam Burns? Yes, you probably do. Also, when you start adding in the course fit for those guys when you look at how they can play at Bethpage. So there's a lot of simulations that can happen here. I think if you want to make a bet on who is going to win the Ryder Cup right now, I lean a little bit towards Europe. We still have to factor in a lot of things. Winning on foreign soil is incredibly difficult, as we've seen. If Patrick Cantlay does, specifically Patrick Cantlay, get added to this team, that is a pretty significant boost to the United States squad. Not because he is a great player, but a format that the Americans have stunk at and been destroyed by the Europeans over the years, that alternate shot format. The combination of Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are really the best American combination that we've had in quite some time to be able to go out and steal a point or just get half points. I mean, it's really been that difficult for Americans in alternate shots. So he becomes much more valuable in that format, assuming he gets in and gets paired with Xander Schauffele. Again, a million different ways that you can carve this out. Today, it is a slight lean towards the European side, but a month out or so, and there will still be a lot of questions that need to be answered and a lot of modeling that needs to be done.
All right, I love Rick Gehman so much, but I have to hit the honesty button. I'm going to hit this honesty button on behalf of Rick Gehman. Ready for this? I think he forgot John Rahm. I think he just forgot John Rahm when he said that Nikolai Højgaard was going to make the team, because he mentioned the captain's picks that I said, which would be Oberg, Lowry, Hovland, Straka, Fitzpatrick. Then he put Højgaard in there over John Rahm, which would be a very, very bold choice. But I'm sure we'll discuss all of this in a lot of detail with Rick as the picks and the pairings become clearer. He's going to help us a lot with our Ryder Cup coverage. Okay, Ben, we're going to do the zone rank 'em blind. And before we play rank 'em blind, Ben, you like to do a quick little rank 'em blind with zone. Give me 3 flavors, your top flavors.
Yeah, I don't know what you've been mixing up lately, but dragon fruit, citrus, wintergreen.
Yeah, so you're more of like a fruit kind of guy. I like to stick in the mint family. I'm going with the peppermint recently. I've got the wintergreen here on top of my board. They come in 6 and 9 milligrams. And all right, let's play. Let's do rank 'em blind. What's our topic, Ben?
All right, so this week, and we've done the antithesis of this topic before. This is rank 'em signs you're playing with a hack, aka it's going to be a long day.
Okay, so you got a little bit of stick for your first one, for signs for playing with a stick. Maybe not your best performance, but I feel like you have more experience playing with hacks than sticks. So I'm expecting some good ones here.
I'm much closer to a hack myself.
Okay,
so
let's do it.
I think that counts. All right, the first is like a T Prize ass looking stand bag. It probably has Yingling on it or some other beer brand.
Yeah, we're going with the bags again. You led with the bags the first time. I was not intimidated by a high school golf bag. I don't know that I can read that much into a first tee given away bag. Everyone's in different financial realities. So I'm putting that at number 9. I'm going to say whack bag.
Very fair. Maybe a bit elitist on my part. Might not like this one.
Yeah, Ben wants a Shinnecock bag. Not everyone has a Shinnecock bag. You know what I mean?
Myself included.
Okay, next one.
Cargo shorts is next.
Yeah, cargo shorts is tough. You obviously don't have a ton of experience playing golf. I'm putting that at number 3. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone shoot around par in cargo shorts.
The sad thing about playing in cargo shorts and it being taboo is that it's very functional for a golfer. You can fit a lot.
Yeah, I was thinking that you can get like your rangefinder might fit in there. You got room for snacks. You got room for a zone. A zone can. So there's plenty of room for activities.
Sunflower seeds, the whole pack.
Yeah. All right. Next one.
Next up is something that shows that if you're not going to respect yourself, you're certainly not going to respect me as a playing partner, and that is like a dirty driver face.
Yeah, you're clearly not very concerned with launch conditions. I'm putting that at number 5. I think like dirty clubs in general. If you see someone with like they've got cake in their 60 degree, it means that they don't spin it anyway, so they're not really concerned. I'm putting that number 5.
All right, next up, I don't know if you've encountered this, but I certainly have in my years growing up playing golf, and it's a guy that has the towel clipped to his belt instead of just on his bag.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a catty look here, but I think that there are probably in the South it gets hot and people want the towel close by to dry off their hands. I'm putting that at number 10. I think you can play good golf with a towel clipped, but it's certainly not my favorite look.
Very fair. The next one is maybe also, tough one to say as an empath myself, but that big old ball retriever that's like 9 feet long.
Yes.
And here's a couple fishing at St. Andrews we found. Not a good look.
Yeah, it means you're taking ball retrieval seriously. You know, it means that you're willing to commit some very valuable real estate in your bag to a ball retriever. I'm putting that number 4. So far we have number 10, towel clipped to the belt. Number 9, we've got the whack bag. Number 5, we got the dirty driver face. Number 4, the ball retriever. Number 3, the cargo shorts. We're halfway there, living on a prayer.
Halfway there, and we're starting off with the cardinal sin of showing how bad you are at golf, unless you're Aaron Rye, iron covers.
Yeah, you're either bad at golf or you're from another country. Yeah, I'm putting that at number 6 because Aaron Rye he's done a lot for the iron cover brigade. You know, there is a guy on tour who's using them, so I'm putting that at number 6.
Is that an international thing? Is there saying like lots of international
I think
guys?
it's like a more of a thing in Asia. I think they have those like super fancy irons that are like hand forged and stuff. So the golf in Japan I know is like a super like luxurious experience a lot of the time. So
one and done. All right. Next up is somebody who putts with a glove on. This was given to me by my brother-in-law who putts with a glove on. He said you can say it's a telltale sign of a hat.
It's definitely a bad one. It's one you don't see often, but I'm pretty sure Jack Nicklaus putted with a glove on. And
that's true.
Our friend Ian Gilligan, who was in our video at Florida, who's playing on the Corn Ferry Tour, he putts with a glove on. I'm putting that at number 8. It's definitely you're definitely gonna get called out for it, but I think if you're confident in it, it's doable.
Putting with a glove on sounds like it's making a comeback based on that reaction.
It does seem kind of silly, right? That you every single time you have to take it off. I'm not going to be the guy who putts with it on, but I understand that's what Ian Gilligan said. He's like, I didn't understand. Like, why would I take it off every time I'm putting? It just seems like a nuisance.
That's what my brother-in-law said. He was like, it's just something I don't have to do. So why would I?
Yes. Okay. We've got 3 spots left.
3 spots left. Next one is the full kit wanker, as we call him in football, but he's got everything that's one brand.
Yeah.
Driver all the way to accessories.
The old starter set. Unless you're a tour player and you're getting paid to use one brand, it is a little bit of a red flag for me. I'm still going to put it at number 7 because I have a lot of faith in these last 2 picks.
Okay. Second to last here is somebody who is approaching the green and they're carrying almost every club in their bag up to the green because they don't know what this pitch shot is going to be.
Yeah.
So someone that's carrying all these clubs to the green.
You clearly don't have a plan. You don't have a plan. You don't have a stock shot. You're thinking about just trying to get it on the green. That's going to be our number 2. Too many clubs to green. What's our number 1?
Number 1 is something personal that I experience a lot, but it's when you hit a shot and it's sailing out of bounds, but the person you're with says, oh man, that's a beautiful shot. Just someone that appreciates a ball getting up in the air so much that they don't realize what a bad shot.
Yes, easily impressed by ball flying in air. Yes, they have very low standards. I like that one. That is a solid number 1 and a solid zone rank and blind. Number 10, this is a sign you're playing with a hack. They got a towel clipped to their belt. Number 9, they've got a whack bag. Number 8, they wear their glove while putting. Number 7, everything is one brand. You are not a PGA Tour player. Number 6, iron covers. Aaron Rye excluded. Number 5, dirty driver face. Really just dirty clubs in general. Number 4, you've given real estate in your bag to a ball retriever. Number 3, you're rocking cargo shorts. Number 2, you're bringing half your clubs to the green. And number 1, you're just easily impressed by seeing the ball fly. It's just not that impressive. It's just not that impressive. Thank you to Zone Nicotine
Pouches. Better, right?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I get a good grade on that one, right?
Yeah, that was better. That was better than playing with a stick for sure. Thank you to Zone Nicotine Pouches for sponsoring our Rank 'em Blind. I won't play golf without at least one in my bag. Dog of the week. Our dog of the week this week is an inanimate object. Let's roll the drum roll, please. Our dog of the week is the 15th hole at Eastlake. So there's a new tee this year, and this hole is just brutally difficult, and it sort of took on the role of 17 at Sawgrass. It was looming on Sunday. You know that coming down the stretch for $10 million, you're going to have to hit dry land from over 200 yards. We saw Scotty Scheffler hit one in the water. We saw Keegan Bradley hit one in the water. We saw Bob McIntyre hit one in the water. Even Tommy Fleetwood hit one in the water on 15 on Saturday. On Sunday, He had to make a nervous bogey on 15, and it's if we have the shot of the overlay of 17. Can we show that? Look that's the 17th green at Sawgrass overlaid over the 15th green at Eastlake, and it's like a 80-yard longer shot. 11 of the 30 guys in the field hit it in the piss on Saturday. That hole is growing in stature. I wanted the whole course to play tougher, but that's the reality of Atlanta in August. It is so hot. It is so humid. They get so much rain that the course is just going to be soft. But that 15th hole, it's becoming a thing, Ben. Dog performance out of the 15th hole, wouldn't you say?
I like that there's a new icon hole emerging from this season, and it's the 15th at Eastlake. Couldn't happen to a better club.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to have it like looming, and it felt like that was the last kind of hurdle that Tommy had to get through. And once he found dry land, a big sigh of relief, and for it to be an island green that's over 200 yards, it's a scary shot.
I'll tell you what, that makes me think we don't necessarily need superstars to emerge as the years go on. If we just have superstar golf architecture emerging, they become the stars. And the 15th hole, the 17th at Sawgrass, Amen Corner, like all these things there's almost as many of them as there are good players to root for. Like, that's a pretty cool thing.
It's a very, very cool thing. A less cool thing is what is happening in the sort of LPGA orbit. So, friend of the program, Gabby Herzig, she is a writer for The Athletic, which is part of the New York Times. She wrote a story this week detailing catfishing scams where very nefarious, I would say evil people, impersonate LPGA pros and they prey on unsuspecting golf fans. Let's watch my interview with Gabby Herzig. All right, we are joined by good friend Gabby Herzig. Gabby, I wanted to have you on to discuss this story because it's not a story you see every day in the golf world. So I guess my first question would be, what tipped you off to this? Like, why did you decide to start pursuing this?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. I first started pursuing the story in collaboration with a colleague of mine. Her name is Carson Kessler. She's an investigative journalist here at The Athletic, and we were working on a story for months, actually, about stalking in sports and kind of the rising cases there in sports generally right now. And my task was basically to look into it on the LPGA side of things. And basically, this scam just kept popping up in my research and talking to players and talking to agents, people surrounding the women's game. And we've all seen those posts on Instagram and on Twitter from high-profile female golfers saying, this is my only account, look for the blue check mark, I'm not going to respond to any messages on other platforms. And I think that all registers with everyone, but no one really knew the story behind why those messages were posted so seriously.
So if someone doesn't know, they haven't seen, what is like, I know every situation is different, but what is sort of like, how does this usually go down?
Yeah, so how the scam usually works is typically there will be an account that impersonates a high-profile professional golfer, let's say Nelly Korda. So, if you look on Instagram, you'll see dozens of fake Nelly Korda accounts with 10 followers, 30 followers, and oftentimes they will go to accounts of people who are fans of the LPGA and follow them and message them and try to attract their attention. And these fake accounts will basically pose as the professional golfer and say, if you are truly a fan of me, you might want this VIP package, or you might want this special access to me, or a dinner. And they start offering these fans things, and they're enticed by the fact that they think Nelly Korda is actually messaging them and they're a fan in the first place. And oftentimes it spirals to the scammer asking to take things to another platform like WhatsApp or Telegram. And then from there, basically they ask for money in exchange for these proposed, special treatments for the fan. And it obviously turns out to be a scam. But in many cases, the people who are the scammed individuals in these cases don't realize this for a very long period of time. And in our research, some people were scammed out of tens of thousands of dollars and over the course of a period as long as a year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these scams exist like across the board. It's not just
not just
professional athletes, but like, why do you think fans of the LPGA have been a particularly ripe target for these scammers?
It's a good question, Dan. I would chalk it up to a number of things, particularly an older fan base, a male fan base. Definitely, we've seen that the types of people that are susceptible to these scams might not be familiar with social media and the policies around the blue check and official accounts. But oftentimes there is a romantic nature to these scams, and the person actually thinks that they're in a relationship with the player, and that's the scariest part.
That's the part of the story. That's the part of the story that really stopped me in my tracks, because you almost want to shake the person and say, how can you be so silly? But did in your research and your story, like, there was someone who literally believed they were going to be married to an LPGA player, wasn't there? Can you tell me that story?
Yes. There was a man who my colleague Carson spoke to his daughter, who was fully convinced that he was going to get married to Nelly Corda. They were communicating for months on end. He sent her large chunks of money, and the fake Nelly Corda large chunks of money. And it took months and months for his kids to try to convince him that this wasn't real. And he wasn't buying it because he was communicating with a person that did everything they possibly could to make it seem like it was actually Nelly. And the reason these are getting worse is because of AI. And there are ways for these scammers to create deep fake videos where, we actually included one of those in our story, where they will literally have the deep fake AI version of Nelly Corda say your name. People that aren't familiar with these types of technologies, like, it's very easy to fall for. So it's going to get worse and worse as the technology keeps getting better, which is the scariest part.
And from the player standpoint, I'm sure they feel so guilty, but it's like, at a certain point, like, the only thing what can you really do if you're a player who's someone's pretending to be you? The only thing you can do is, this is my only account. It's got a check mark for a reason, but, like, they must feel awful.
Yeah, they do feel awful. I spoke to Nelly Corda, and she just repeatedly kept telling me how terrible she feels every time this happens. But the scariest part of this scam is that there have been repeated incidents of scammed individuals showing up at golf tournaments to confront the real athlete for something they had nothing to do with, and they're doing everything they already are possibly able to do to prevent it from happening. So there was one very scary incident that we included in the story with Rose Zhang, where a man who thought he had been communicating with Rose for a year drove 4 hours from Pennsylvania to the Mizuho Open in New Jersey, got to the course and said, I'm here for my VIP experience with Rose Zhang. She has a hotel room booked for me. I'm part of her team. And Rose Zhang's agent literally had to confront this man and tell him that none of this was actually happening. And he proceeded to tell Rose's agent that he had sent $70,000 to Rose, a fake Rose, over the past year. So
these things are basically like they're on trail. These guys don't get caught, do they?
The scammers? No,
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's like playing whack-a-mole. We spoke to several security officials with the LPGA, and it's basically like you report one account and the next one, 20 pop up the next day. And it's really on the social media platforms to police this better, because right now they're doing very minimal, they're making very minimal efforts to help solve the issue, but it is a hard one to combat.
It's a gnarly combination. You've got lonely men out there. You've got young women. You've got AI, which I didn't even the deep fake stuff, because the way you would call out a scammer in the past is you'd be like, well, send me a picture with today's like newspaper, or say whatever it might be, like say my name and in a video. Mm-hmm. And they can just do that now. I don't know. Yeah. You're right. It's almost like it's on. It's mostly. You said Instagram mostly. I guess it has to be on Instagram. But what Instagram would say is, unless you are speaking to someone with a blue check, you are not speaking to the person that you think you're speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. Or like if the athlete posts on their account, like, these are my only accounts, then those are their only accounts. But I will say, as part of our reporting for the story, we created a fake profile on Instagram of an average, 62-year-old male LPGA fan, and followed our favorite golfers on that account. And within 20 minutes, we were targeted by a fake Nelly account. And then shortly after that, we were sent a deep fake video from that account. So it's happening very, very quickly. And it's not uncommon at all.
That's scary. Well, good work. Hopefully spreading the word on this. I think that's one of the great that's one to hopefully, spread awareness is probably Instagram being a little bit better about their security tools, but then awareness on the part of the general public is probably the best way to combat this. But super interesting, fantastic work, and thanks for coming on, Gabby.
Thank you, Dan.
Ben, that's pretty gnarly.
That I don't know if you guys could see this. My eyes were like wide open the whole time she's telling that story.
$70,000 to Rose Zhang. Guy thought he was going to be married to Nelly. I'm pretty sure Nelly Corda, like her relationship status is pretty damn public. It's like on one point I feel bad for these people, but also at one point I'm like, how can you possibly?
It makes me afraid to age, because there's going to be things in technology that you and I don't understand. Our generation doesn't understand, that we don't even know exists yet. I mean, with AI and deepfakes and stuff, like, we're young enough to not get fooled by that stuff. But man, it's scary out there.
The deepfake is an X factor in that story, right? If they can get quote unquote Nelly Corda to say, hey, like, this is real, it's really me. It's
Actually, do you know what I think the scariest moment or vignette from Gabby's reporting is? It's the guy whose own family couldn't convince him that it wasn't real. That's crazy. Like, your own kids are like, Dad, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram.
They're probably sending them articles being like, Nelly Corda's boyfriend does this, or like Nelly Corda like is in this country. You know what I mean? So yeah, hard to bounce back from that one. Just a gnarly story, but great work from Gabby. That's some good investigative reporting right there. All right. Chirps from the gallery. We've got Brad Dahlke and Scotty Scheffler. The comparison. Let's bring that up. That's not Brad Dahlke. That's Nelly Corda. There it is. Creator Classic wins. Brad Dahlke has 2. Scotty Scheffler has 0. Brad Dahlke had 85.71% of his fairways. He missed one fairway by 1 yard. Same as Scotty in the first round of the Tour Championship. Brad hit 100% of his greens. Scotty only 83%. Obviously, they're taking the piss here, but it does highlight how good Brad was. It was almost a perfect game. He almost hit every fairway and every green for his 9 holes in the Creator Classic. Played the back 9 at Eastlake in 3 under par. I said this on our live show on Wednesday. If you're a PGA Tour event, invite this man. Just invite him. In the U.S. Senior Open, I was bummed not to see Big Mama Joanne Carter play. It was the first time in forever that she hasn't played. She's getting up there in age and didn't get up this year. But there was a woman who broke her age in the U.S. Senior Open. Barb Moxness, which is a sick last name. 72 years, 3 months, and 12 days old. The oldest player to make the cut in the history of the U.S. Senior Women's Open, and she broke her age yesterday with a 71. Would have been a great dog of the week, but she was upstaged by an inanimate object, the 15th hole at Eastlake. Robert Garrigus called out Jordan Spieth, so there's going to be a 9th signature event next year at Trump Doral, and Robert Garrigus told Adam Schupak, so does that mean one more sponsor invite for Jordan Spieth? Tell Spieth I'll play him for any amount he wants. I win. I get his 5 invites into signature events. My question here is, what's in it for Spieth? Like, why would Jordan Spieth ever do that? But hey, credit to him for putting his name out there. A lot of talk about the format this week. I didn't miss the starting strokes, but Jamie Kennedy was running a sort of simulated match play tournament. And this was before what would be the semifinals. Down goes Scheffler and McIlroy. The final 4 going by scores so far this week would be Fleetwood versus Cam Young and Harris English versus Patrick Cantlay. And I just got to say, thank the Lord that's not what it was. Can you imagine how much worse it would have been if it was Harris English and Patrick Cantlay in one match and Tommy Fleetwood and Cameron Young? We wouldn't have had Keegan, the storyline. We wouldn't have had Scotty making a push. So I've come around on the match play stuff, really because of the USAM. Like, you just get so many duds in the final, and I don't think the final day. Also, how funny would it have been if Tommy Fleetwood won the stroke play version of the Tour Championship this year? Because if there was a starting strokes, he would have lost by 1 stroke to Scotty Scheffler, 24 under versus 23 under, and then we'd be doing this very strange dance. I don't know who we would have interviewed afterward. Would it have been Scotty or would it have been Tommy? And you would have had this weird thing where, okay, Tommy shot the lowest 72-hole score in a PGA Tour event, but is it a PGA Tour win because he didn't win the actual tournament? I think getting rid of the starting strokes was a great idea. Our boys at Torquay, they must have seen us talking about the way Joaquin Munoz twirls his club or holsters his club, because they gave me a special delivery, and there it is, just the left hand half twirl. It is strange. I like it. Yeah. I like it. It's sort of his signature move. And then our last one, we spent a lot of time ragging on Patrick Cantlay. in 1 month, if he's on the team, which I think he will be on the team, even though he wouldn't be on my team, he's going to be our boy. Today it was, oh my God, Cantlay hit the ball. A few weeks from now at the Ryder Cup, watching his opponent getting pissed off, it's going to be, take your time, buddy. Couple more waggles from Josh Grimes. Did the wind change? Step off, and regardless, step off and readdress if you need to. Take your time, Patrick. He's going to, it's like, when you're playing team sports, there's always a guy on the team. It's look, if he wasn't on my team, I would really not enjoy playing against him, but he's on our team, and I think it could be a weapon. I'd like to also give a special thanks to Zone Nicotine Pouches for all they do and for supporting us this season. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, underage sale prohibited. I got to say it. I always have at least one can in my bag. When I need to dial things in on the course, I go with Zone Nicotine Pouches. They have a stronger nic intensity. Others aren't even close. They have better flavors. They last longer, and they're more comfortable than any other pouch out there. I've talked about this before. They make 7 flavors in both the 6 and 9 milligrams. The big game changer, there's 20 pouches per can in these versus the other guys who only offer 15. I mean, if you want more, again, I won't play 18 holes without at least one can of Zone in my golf bag. If you want Zone pouches at a discount and mailed right to your door, head to nicokick.com, NICOKICK.com, and enter code DanOnGolf20 at checkout for an additional 20% off. A quick scheduling note. So the Ryder Cup picks will be revealed on Wednesday. I'm going to go live from the doghouse to talk about that, look at some early pairings, maybe some early predictions. We're going to do an end of the year doggy awards where we give out like dog of the year. We're going to do clip of the year. We're going to do chirp of the year. It's going to be super fun. That'll be next week. And we'll still have a presence on the YouTube channel for the rest of the year. We're going to do some shows around the Ryder Cup. I'll probably do some more impromptu lives, but this is going to wrap it up for our Monday, kind of flagship offering. So it's been an incredible first season with you guys, the watch-alongs, the Monday shows, the live shows that we've done from the major championships, from Tour Championship. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Drop us a like, drop us a subscribe. It's been super fun seeing this come from a vision where Ben and I met at a mall and we said, you know what? We don't want to do a regular podcast. We want to do it live. We want to do it live. We've done it live. We've made it through the first season. Ben, your thoughts?
I'm super heartened by the sickos out there who have joined us not only on Mondays, but jump on the watch along on Sundays and say hey to us. There's some familiar names out there, the Joseph Bozas, the Ricky Aguirres of the world. Thank you guys for joining. We love you guys. We're bringing some heat next year for you in season 2. I know this isn't over, but we're talking about a lot of stuff you guys have asked us for. Next season's going to be even bigger. And I can't wait to see everybody at the Ryder Cup. We're going to do a couple shows from Bethpage. And that's going to be like a great cap to this first season of Dan on Golf. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the other side.
Fantastic summary there, Ben. We're going to leave you with our clip of the week. So Tommy Fleetwood won this week. One of Tommy's near misses was the 2023 Canadian Open. He lost to Nick Taylor, who we talked about, have the bobblehead there. But I disagreed with Tommy laying up on the 72nd hole. And Ian Finnis, his caddy, let me know exactly how he felt. I'm so happy that Tommy finally got the win so we can look back on this and laugh properly. I'm going to leave you with our clip of the week. We love you, Golf Sickos. I'll see you on Wednesday after the Ryder Cup picks are made.
Hey, he just asked Dan if he's smoking crack right now.
This guy smoked crack.
I tweeted something about his layup on 18, and Fina's like, what the f*** are you doing? He's like, are you an idiot? Give me this story.
Laying up on 18. Were you there?
I was not.
Were you in that position?
I was on crack, apparently.
Comment on Twitter. Until you can add me and Tommy in on it and say to our faces, Tommy's got an iffy lie. We've just stiffed 2 lob wedges in a row. Why would we not lay up? And then you said he laid up into have you been to that golf course?
I have not.
So why are you giving course management out?
Listen, it was
making a lot of sense right now. Followers about course management, and you went there. Do you think that's wrong?
I think
that's right or wrong.
I'm going to be honest, you're making a lot of sense right now.
Have you been to the golf course? No. He's telling Tommy Fleetwood how to win the tournament.
Ian, I think it's incredibly ridiculous that he said that.
Thank you. On Twitter.
I thought he should have gone for it. We're allowed to disagree.
Did you see the light?
I did not. I mean, I saw it on TV.
5 wood down went no. So I assume he didn't want to hit 5.
Listen, it was a great week. Of guys that you don't want to be, that you don't want to be mad at you, he's in the top 10.
He was a foot lower than you on the hill and still taller than you.